All right, Internet World, got a 2018 GMC Canyon, all-terrain. Trying to, well, I would say fairly successfully, have added a power rear slider option to this. Definitely took plenty of trial and error and some frustrations, and I kind of want to go through what we struggled with a little bit. First off, what you need to do is mount this motor right here, and then the regulator. This regulator comes with cable in it, and this was the main frustrating part. It was really the only frustrating part, but very frustrating. So the inside of this regulator, there's a spool that's in there, and the cable locks into these slots here on each side, and then it wraps around each way. And it just sits in there like this, and it spins, this way or that way, takes cable out or puts it on depending on which way it's going. And I think the problem with this is that the amount of cable that's on this regulator, it's just about the maximum that the window moves back and forth. And so it gets, every time you open the window all the way, it gets really close to emptying out the spool. And when that happens, when you overrun it, that kinks the cable, and then it's pretty much toast after that. I had to buy another regulator because we messed up the first one. Let's see, part of that also, the problems we had was, originally we didn't have our cable fastened tight enough. You can see you have one coming out this way and then going up into these custom little blocks. My dad made these. So the main cable goes in through there, and then the inside cable comes out into here. And just kind of came up with a little mounting system to keep them tight. I feel like tension is a huge thing with this. If these cables get loose at all, it just totally messes with how things get wound up properly in here. So what I actually did is I have a continuous piece of cable starting over here and comes through here, goes down this one, and then I have it wrapped one time around this spool, and then it comes back out and goes around and then back out over there. And then that bracket we have is just 3M taped onto the rear slider there. The stronger the tape, the better, because I did have some tape that didn't really stick that great and it fell off, but it's been sticking on there now for a while. So what I actually did to really kind of take away the problems that we were having with this, my dad actually came up with the idea to grind out these grooves and just make it smooth, so there wasn't really a track to follow in there. And it worked okay for a while. Originally I had used, let's see here, I had originally used this kind of tactical rope or whatever you want to call it, and it worked really good because it was kind of not visible, and it fit inside these cables pretty well. But the problem was when we had a smooth wheel, so we ground the grooves out of there, so we had to have the rope wrapped around there a few times in order to get enough tension, or whatever you want to call it, so that when you turned it, it actually turned the rope with it. Well, what happened with that is eventually it got tangled up. I had the rope wrapped around there 5-6 times, so it comes in, and then it was wrapped around a bunch, and then it came out, and it ended up getting bound up, and then it snapped, and so here we are again. So what I did this time is I took some tread, like some grippy tape that you see like on steps or skateboard kind of stuff, and I wrapped that around there, and now I only have the cable going in and around and then back out, and that's it. And so far it's been working beautifully, and I hope that that's the end of it as far as tangles and snags and whatever, because it's it's a little project taking all this stuff out of here. You gotta take the seats out and the trim, which is always kind of a hold your breath kind of thing for breaking brackets and whatever. I think that's it. I'll post a link to where to get this motor and this regulator, and I guess for what it's worth, if anybody knows of I think the way to solve this is this spool that's on here is too small, and if there was more cable on it to maybe cover you know, the distance that this slides a little better. If anybody knows of a bigger diameter, so my thought is that if it was a bigger diameter, you'd have more cable on there, and then you wouldn't run into the problems where you max out the amount of cable that's on the spool. So, and I'll also, there's these springs on here. I took those out because it was getting too squishy and I just didn't like the way it was. So it seems like this is the setup that's going to work for me. Not exactly the most beautiful fit and finish, but functionality, that's really all I need, is to not have to reach back and open up this window that should have been powered from the factory. Shame on you, GM. Cheapos. Come on, you can do better than that. Hopefully on the 2023s they'll have a power option. Doubt it, but we'll see. That's it for now. Hopefully this isn't too drony. Thank you for watching. All right, one thing I forgot to put in the first chunk that I filmed was where I put the switch for everything. So we have our wires going here, power wires. They go down, and then ran them along this floorboard here. Just kind of tucked them in, and then around and up through the console, and you can see right in that spot that no one ever uses. I don't know what they were thinking that would be used for. But that's where I have my three-way switch. And all you do is you kind of have to be careful when you get close to closing it. But yeah, it works. It's kind of nice, not gonna lie.